everyone. It's Thursday, August the 28th, I think. Yes. And it's time for another Anchore open source nonsense and maintenance and gardening, or open, whatever we call it. Hello, I'm Alan. I am DevRel at Anchore. And next to me, we have a small team of Alex and Will, who are open source maintainers at Anchore, working on Syft, Grype, Grant, Stereoscope, Clio. I wonder if anyone's managed to rattle off all of the public projects that we have. I can't remember them all, but
it is a list for certain. Yeah, it goes on for a bit.
Like Fangs, like that suddenly sprung into my head the other day. There's loads. And so we go through our open source stuff and see if there's any open issues that need discussing. Now, because it's holiday season or vacation season, wherever you are, there's often fewer people here than we often have, but that's okay. We'll still find something to do. If you want to watch along, you can go and follow what we're doing on GitHub. If you go to Anchore, github.com/Anchore, all our open source stuff is here. We also have a discourse, which is also linked, actually, quite conveniently. Our most recent blog articles are here. And then, oh, look, there's a new article about Grant. And then these linked to discourse threads, including the one about today, which Will kindly reminded me to post because I completely missed it on Monday because it was a bank holiday here. Anyway, are there any topics that you hello. Are there any topics that you chaps would like to talk about at the start?
Yeah, I think.
I was gonna say I got nothing. I was gonna defer to Will. I know you have a list going. It's
Yeah,
it's like
there
a
was
scroll.
a
It just keeps going.
couple. Let's see if I can find it. Somebody pinged us to talk about.
Is it oh gosh,
I dropped them all in the Zoom chat in an earlier meeting, and so of course that did no good whatsoever. I think
Somewhere had neat discussion on it, which are in the our typical issues.
yeah, there's one. This is not the one I was hoping to find first. Too many things open.
What on earth? There's a whole load here.
I wonder. I don't remember adding all the binary cataloger ones. The one I was expecting is someone has asked in the GrypeDB project about including CWE in the NVD metadata. I think it was in the GrypeDB project.
Is this an issue or a?
I think it's an issue.
Yeah, here it is.
Is it 644?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was looking
644 in Grype. Sorry, I've moved everything around, so I can't even find where.
It's in GrypeDB, not Grype, which makes it extra hard to find.
GrypeDB, not Grype. It's not this one.
Yeah, it is. It is. This is the right one. This is GrypeDB, not Grype, though.
This would be a relatively easy thing to add.
It would be. The reason I throw it up on needs discussion is because if you look at the code reference, that it was like commented out, like the GrypeDB NVD models, like have and they just commented it out. And I looked at the Git history, and this is like from time immemorial, and I couldn't figure out why it was done. So I thought it.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to ask the team, right? And this like GrypeDB builder, this is like copy this code from another repo kind of commit. It's not like
who's this guy? Who's this person? Hey?
Yeah. It's not like PR43 explains why to comment out weaknesses. I think it just copies in a pile of code in which weaknesses was already commented out.
So I like how you outed him because he started this meeting with, I've got nothing to talk about.
I didn't click Git blame. I told you that Git history didn't tell me anything, and you clicked Git blame. Just saying.
True.
So
anyway, let me tell the story. Story. So this is good.
Grandpa.
So this used to be all closed source. We couldn't quite get approval to open source the way we built the database on day one. And so it waited for a little while. And then that's why it got ported, and this mysterious, hey, everything just dropped. It's because then we got approval and we had to go move some stuff around in order to make it work. So why is this line commented out? So it's not for any specific reason, meaning we can add it back in. The reason generally why we you'll see a lot of these things commented out is for stability, like for parsing and things. So in the past, we used to have these structs kind of, we would pull in like the full JSON schema, we would parse like everything, and it would take a little more time, but it wasn't like noticeable or really all that measurable, because it was fine. It was just like, this is just what the shape of the data is. But one day we got caught where CI borked because it couldn't parse one of the fields, and it was really disappointing when we found out we didn't even use that field. So it was like, oh, this was entirely preventable. So that's the point where we came back to these unmarshallers and we said, we're not using the field, even though it's from like an upstream data shape that we like could fully support. We just comment out these fields. So that's why they were there to begin with, is because we could add them in. If you want to add it in, I'll just gotta uncomment it back out. So
I thought the commented out field meant we know about this field, but have intentionally turned it off, which is why I didn't tell the person, yeah, just send us a PR, because it looked like, hey, we are deliberately not deserializing the weaknesses array out of this CVE item. But we're comfortable turning it back on. I had guessed that it was for database size, because that was a real struggle for a while.
It's not, because this is like before writing to the database. So no, it's purely just to make certain that, if something upstream is the wrong shape, they do something wrong again, we don't die. Like, we should be able to process things the only way we use.
And then even if this is uncommented, that won't do anything to the actual Grype database that gets downloaded, because the processor won't know to write this to the output, and the output schema doesn't have it, and Grype doesn't know to do anything with it. So this is unfortunately not going to be a 3-byte diff for whoever does this. But do we have any sense of, like, and maybe we should just solicit this feedback from the user who requested that we put weaknesses back. Do we have any sense of how we'd like Grype to report this? I think we're out of room in the table output. The table output is really crowded. But it's, I don't know, I just put it in the JSON schema somewhere and let the JSON document be bigger.
Also, yeah, and what we do, and that's kind of what it's meant for. We tell folks the table is a summary. It's not supposed to have everything. So I don't think it really belongs to the table. I don't think it's important enough to order the table. But oh yeah, we put for NVD, especially. Well, I mean, I'll just say in general, we have these auxiliary data sets that we kind of attach onto the vulnerability object in the JSON output. Like recently, like EPSS data, we have my mind, known like the CAV data set, so like all that kind of stuff. This falls in that same vein, which like the sibling of that, like we have CWE's weaknesses. So I think that's it on that one. So let's you add something else on it, Will.
It sounds like I'll get back to the user and say, PR is welcome. You'll probably need to change the transformer and wire it all the way through if you actually want it. Do we want to ask for additional error handling? Do you know if weaknesses was one of the fields we didn't trust? Because I think
there was no specific distrust. It was just, if we don't use it, we shouldn't try to unmarshal it. That's all.
Does GrypeDB handle, like, I think most of our tools are designed to sort of not trust the upstream data, right? So if there's like a malformed JSON document, we'll just like log.info, that document doesn't look right, just keep rolling. And so I think
on the day in question, it was an API change upstream. So like every record has the wrong shape. So yeah, we just ignored everything. So
Okay.
it was a very silly, it was a
It
very
was a
silly
big
thing upstream
change.
that it impacted us pretty badly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if we need to try to implement some more tolerant custom deserialization or something, because this is very much a do your best, even if upstream data is kind of garbage place. But anyway, so I'll tell this person that PRs are welcome and that they'll need to wire it through the transformers and stuff, and need a
Perfect.
link to it. There it is. Okay. I'll answer that really quick while I'm thinking
Okay.
about it.
While you do that, I'll have a quick chat with Alex, because there's something I'm wondering here. There's a number of these times where people file issues or questions come up either within the team or from outside. And, I jokingly said, okay, Grandpa, tell us a story, because, this is 2 years ago, which is ancient history. I'm I'm wondering if there's some way that we can like download your head. Like I mean that in a pleasant, non Spock mind meld like type way. Like if there's some way to get this like information and filter it somewhere and turn it into documentation, or like a blog post. We did this thing. Here's why we did it. It might not be true anymore. Patch is welcome. Like if if it always ends with patch is welcome, then that won't necessarily be super useful. But it could be useful to supplement our developer documentation to say why things happen. So when people are thinking, well, I want to change this, or why did they do this? That information could be surfaced somehow. And I'm not 100% sure how we do that.
Yeah, I mean, I can put this in a few different buckets. Like, so for the one that we were just looking at for the weaknesses one, like this one, just there should have been a code comment here saying like, hey, we commented these out because we want to be resilient to unmarshaling issues for, fields we don't use. It's easier to not have a bug for something that you just don't need to use at all. So that's one bucket. So like put more comments in the code, which we've gotten better at over time. And the other side is on the feature side. So that I'm hoping. So I know that, and this is a kind of foreshadowing. I know that Alan, you worked a lot on the doc site, and that's, I'd say drum roll, up and coming. And I want to say that that's a great place to land whenever there's like a new feature, something we really want to say. Here's how you use it. Here's something that is, worth checking out. Like a good example is like the ELF that came up today, the ELF package notes. That's one that like it comes up in a lot of different conversations. That's an answer people didn't even know to search for. And that's like, oh, well, the perfect place to put it in the doc site as like, here's a bucket of use cases and features that solve problems that you didn't even know to search for, but are here. So, and there's probably a third bucket that's in the blog post side, like which is like there's an event that occurs. It's less about like there's a change to the product, more of like a either interesting factoid or something again, external event has occurred, or maybe also feature based in it, like backlinks folks to the doc reference. So, but that's my 2 cents.
Yes, I think you've nailed it there. It is the docs, and we are working on that, and I am having conversations with our infrastructure people as we speak. So that will be coming shortly, and I actually think that's a very good point. Like when we do these sessions, if an outcome is file an issue against docs and assign it to Alex, or assign it to whoever has that knowledge, like whoever knows most about that, because everyone has their specialisms. I think that might be an opportunity for if someone wants a break from coding or has a slot, a 30-minute slot. That's a markdown file. Done. Bop. Put it in the docs. Done. Right. I think that's a very good point, and that could really, like, it doesn't even matter where you put it. Someone else could deal with that. It's just get the information out of the person's head, and we'll figure out where it goes, whether that's blog or it's so short it's a tweet. Right. It's I don't know, but I think there's a real opportunity there, and you're totally right to say the docs is where it could go. Yeah.
Because like we used to put a lot of the stuff in like the README, and the README got was like overflowing, so we stopped kind of doing that. And I think it's the right thing, but the downside, we're in this kind of in between where okay, we stopped putting it here. And like in the same reason, like putting it into another Markdown file was like embedded in the repo is just kind of like it's lost. We do that for some things, but we don't do it for everything. And that's where I think like this is where the doc site is just going to shine a lot more. Like 3-4 years ago, we didn't have enough content to really warrant a doc site, but now we definitely do. So
I could probably show you what that looks like at the moment. Bear with me just one sec. In theory, this might all go horribly wrong. We shall find out. But in theory, if I go to localhost 1313, look at that. It just works. So yeah, for those like interested, this is conceptually what our documentation might look like. And for those of you who've ever looked at the enterprise docs, there is a striking similarity to the enterprise docs. But with slightly more garish colours, which are subject to change. Literally everything you see on the screen here is subject to change. Nothing is set in stone, nothing at all. And so I think, yes, if we dive in, then there are, information about the general user-facing stuff, like how do I do a vuln scan, like, what's everything I need to know about SBOMs, and then like reference information like command line options and stuff like that might be useful, but also like contributing guides, like how do people contribute to these products, and and I don't know where that kind of, would it be in reference information, would it just be a developer's note? We do actually have the ability in here, so I don't know if I've got any pages that have it. Hold on one sec. Let me just have a quick. Oh man, is it on here somewhere? Yeah, these little call outs here that you can have, like learn more, and once we figured out what that content is, we can put it somewhere and then highlight it in the section of the docs that makes sense and send you off. Like if you want to learn more about why this thing is turned off, or why we don't turn everything on, or why it's more than just editing that one file and a 3-line patch. It's actually, you have these other things that, I think that's, quite exciting.
I entirely agree. Yeah, I am too. I mean, there's so many cases where somebody asks a question and I end up giving links to code that I want to stop doing. In other words, I want to keep giving links. But the links should be to something that's not code. So I think most of the time, I've had several instances, even this week, where it's like I gave someone, what is this code? But not in actuality, they really were just wanting a doc. So, yeah, I see in our future revving up some doc cycles for us. So
I do hope so. Coming soon to a web browser near you. Sorry, Will, have you got anything to add to that, or are you busy editing comments and stuff?
I just realized I don't know what to tell this person about how to plumb through the new warnings. Like, is are they adding a new model that has a relationship to like vulnerability handle? Are they like, and
it's on the vulnerability blob itself. So so we have, so there are the two things in the database. There's like the vulnerability handle, the things you search by, those have blobs attached to them. The blobs are like the actual, and here's the information, most of the information. So I think it's going to be plumbing through CW's under the vulnerability blob. I admittedly have not thought through this entirely, here on the live stream.
right,
but
where is the vulnerability blob type?
it's like blobs.go.
Oh, it's in blobs, not models.
Yeah, models are like, these will be tables, and blobs these are blobs within tables.
Okay, so it should be added to the vulnerability blob.
I think so.
Okay,
I'll put a pin in that to worth double checking. So,
I mean, it's got aliases and severities and description and stuff. That seems like where it goes. The reason I thought it might be better as a model that's related is, one, you're pretty sure not to break anything, because if it's just an empty table, it's just an empty table, right? But two, it might be nice to have like CWEs for non-NVD, right?
I would say I think that's worth thinking about because I think so. We did that pattern for CAD. We did that pattern for UTSS.
Right.
It's probably maybe that is the better pattern here. That it really is its own table, such that we can anything as a matching vuln ID just gets magically associated without having to show up in the blob. I like that better. That's
Okay.
a better answer.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's what I was thinking about. I agree we should have like development documentation. My big fear is that we already have a lot to do. We're a very small team and it's just going to age very quickly. That's my I mean, I guess having outdated docs is better than not having docs, but that's my concern. And so, I really wish like it would be hard to do, but I wish we and even getting enough context into like code doc strings and stuff, it's very easy for those to age. Like today, I realized after I merged it, like I changed the GrypeDB daily publish job from running at 4 a.m. UTC to running at 6 a.m. UTC because it keeps starting before the data sync job that it runs after is done. And so there's a cron signature that's like *6 **** with a comment that says 4 a.m. because I just didn't see the comment until very late in the process. And I'm just afraid that that's going to be the whole docs enterprise. But I agree we should do it. Like this is not an argument against it. This is just my fear. My thought when people mention documentation is that if somebody gave me a doc link and a code link, I would ignore the doc link and read the code because the code is the truth. It's what actually happens. But it also takes a lot longer to read and isn't accessible to anyone. So like we should absolutely do the docs.
This was one of the kind of like secondary reasons why we didn't say at the beginning we're not going to do a doc site. We basically just said we're not going to do it now. And the reason was because most of the explanations for most of the stuff we had was simple enough and was like we just had more risk of drift, like what you're saying, than we did of like actually adding value. And over the years, I think now gone to the other directions. Like we just have a lot of information that's not it's not something other than code. So
I think there's certainly it's certainly a valid concern, and I don't think it's negative. I think it's a challenge that everyone has with documentation, and there are various ways around it, like where you put it and how you automate it, and the ways in which you maintain it. Like there are ways to do it, but not having any is the answer to any of that. I think there's coping mechanisms we can build to deal with
right.
that.
Right. I agree. I agree. We should have it. There have been some interesting, there are projects where you can have like example code in your doc comments and like fail to build if the example code doesn't compile and run correctly. Which is sort of an interesting thing to try to do to try to like make, but anyway.
Also, while you guys were chatting earlier, and Will threw away a comment into the ether, which nerd sniped me, and now I did this silly thing. We have templates, and you said something about can't add more information to the output of Grype because ... It's already pretty wide. So now what I've done is I've added a template which we could put in, or we could just put them in the documentation, or I could put it somewhere else. And it writes out a table in Markdown format. So you could make it as wide as you like. So if you were to run something like that, I'm not going to run it because I've just run it. It uses the Markdown template. And now if I do glow -w0 Grype Python latest, we get a nice, pretty Markdown one. Isn't that nice? Someone's going to tell me someone's already done this and this is just pointless. But look, you could probably squeeze a couple more columns in there.
Yeah, I mean, that That makes sense. And that's one of the reasons we have the template engine, is so that if you find a particular field very important and we don't, you can make a template that customizes the output to be what you want. One of the things we'd love to do when we get to Grype 1.0 is publish a JSON schema for the Grype-JSON. And then you can write code that expects that as input and do whatever you'd like with it, because it will be stable. It's been pretty stable, somewhat coincidentally. We tried pretty hard not to break it, but it's not like documented at this time.
Yeah. I will foreshadow, like, we're probably going to capture that JSON schema in short order, like a matter of weeks.
So, all right. So if this person wants to get CWEs in there,
Is that because
they
we're
must make
we're
haste.
Are we gonna? If that 99 is not, it's not going to become a 1.0, is it? It's going to be 100. Then we'll get to 200 and 300. Won't it?
God, our next release has to be 1.0. No, no. It's 100. So we hit this with Syft. We couldn't quite make it to Syft 1.0 at 99, so we went to like 105 or something. I forget.
Are we just going to go 9999999 until we get there? Wonderful. Eye test. Are we done with that?
I think there's still an implementation question about adding weaknesses, because like there's like adding a severity, which is just purely inside the NVD transformer, just writes a different vulnerability blob. And then there's adding EPSS, which is a new vulnerable provider and writes a new model, but this is like both. And so
I think you convinced me on the like follow the Kev way, right? So I think the checkout
need the Kev one. Okay.
Yeah. So line 44 in the models, like, this is like where the known exploit vulnerability handle, exists. And like, I would follow how Kev gets propagated through the system, because I like what you said. I was like, well, what if we want to associate these with, matching IDs, but like not on the same record? And that's a pretty strong reason to be able to make this its own table. So
right, because like the CWE applies presumably in like a Red Hat scan, right? Even though we're matching that against Red Hat's data and not NVD's. So yeah. Okay, so I will link them to GrypeDB 507 and cool.
Yeah, it will be more work. It's no longer as easy as we said it was going to be earlier. So, but that's okay.
Can I pick one? If we're ready for the next one.
Sure, if you have a good one, yeah.
I'm not sure this is a good one, but it is a one. God, the story behind this is the Linux Foundation have a new tool called Insights. And while we are not official members of the Linux Foundation, what's it called? Landscape. That's it. We do feature in the enormous diagram, which is the CNCF. If we go down to, oh my gosh, security and compliance, we're somewhere in here. There's Grype. There he is. He or she. They. And there's Syft. Right? So we're in the landscape. We exist within this ecosystem. And so they very kindly added us to this new tool they have called Insights. And what it does is it tries to give you the health of an open source project. And so let's just explore Insights and accept all this stuff. So Syft got added. I requested it to be added. Insights is an open source tool as well, which you can find over on GitHub. And there are discussions, and that's where I got us added, and other people have requested to be added as well. But this shows you a kind of like, how healthy is the community. And I wondered at some point when people are browsing on any device, if they wouldn't mind taking a look at this and objectively taking a stand back and a think about what that looks like and whether it represents the project properly, whether the data looks accurate, whether the data is useful, any feedback at all, really. Don't have to do it right now. I'm just signposting this, which yeah, I didn't put the number in the chat, did I, silly boy? Yeah, that's the issue. It's Syft 4171, but the link is actually insights.linuxfoundation.org. Where did I go? There. So yeah, I need to have a think about this. They do have a bug tracker, obviously, so we can file bugs against Insights. You don't have to continue the conversation in here, but they are aware of the anomaly that is the naming here is a bit weird because they don't have a concept of organizations, but I just thought I'd, yeah.
Yeah, fun. It's definitely a interesting project. So
Yes. Also, I should mention, it mentioned stars and downloads. I don't know how they can possibly know how many downloads there are. We know it's lots. Yeah. Anyway,
interesting. I mean, yeah, cool.
I'll probably put a post out on socials asking other people for their input to kind of signpost that, because everyone's got an opinion and it's effectively bugs against their project, not ours. So I'm not suggesting that we're going to do more work.
Kind of glad that they're. I like the level which they capture that info. Like I was reminded. I think Josh posted about deps.dev and like Syft's, like what Syft looks like there. And it's funny because like they have all this like, oh, it's doing all of these wrong things. And then if you look, like we're getting like nailed for things that are just, it's nothing to do with the project. So we have Syft is doing component analysis. So
what was the project
Python
called?
packages.
What,
This is deps.dev. I'll drop a link.
thank you. It's worth showing. Oh, I found it. It's okay.
It's a great. Yeah, it's a great.
Carry on.
I definitely do like this deps.dev, the insights here. But the one thing for Syft is kind of awkward. Like every time we add a new catalog or like Python catalog or a Rust catalog or something, we add test for it, which means we add like what looks like little sub projects of like Python projects, Java projects, etc. And so so if you go to like the pin dependencies down at the bottom and click on that and then click on show details, like all of we're getting basically dinged for all of our test fixtures and none of it doesn't represent the product at all. And I'm like, oh, well, okay.
Right. So basically we added a requirements.txt and a test fixtures directory to prove we can parse requirements.txt files.
Right.
And then they're dinging us because of the contents of that test fixture, which is a little frustrating. There's not any, it's not, but so that's interesting. I wonder if there's like, I think it would be very useful for them to have like a convention they respected for like labeling a file as a test fixture. And like this isn't it's like a weird thing for an SBOM generator tool, right? Like most tools don't have like most Go projects don't have a tiny broken fake Python project in a subdirectory. But Syft does because we need to prove we can parse it. And so
is this the same? Why... Is this the same thing?
Yeah.
And so, could we do this in our project, or is this not? Then
annotations. I mean, last I checked, it was so like the test. There wasn't a way they automatically ignore test data single word, and like what it would take is us moving over to a test data directory. I think most of it gets ignored automatically. The downside is this is one of those like hindsight like 2020. I actually didn't know when we were bootstrapping these repos that the Go compiler honored ignoring everything underneath a test data directory. Because if I did, all these directories would have been called test data. And there's this one annoying thing. We actually generate a lot of the fixtures from container images. And that's all Go code and it's sitting in another library. And we have a bit of a weird, annoying problem, which is like, well, Stereoscope and Syft use this little library to generate test fixtures and expect it to be in the test-fixtures directory. So we would have to go and update like that lib, go update Stereoscope, go update Syft into all of the test fixtures in order for it to like work, and then the scorecard to honor it and to ignore these things in theory. And I haven't tested it out. That's why I'm going to say in theory. I don't. Yeah. But as for these annotations, I actually don't know. I haven't seen this before.
You guys have Labor Day on Monday. That sounds like an excellent use of your time on Labor Day. It is a lot of labor, after all.
That's what that's for. I've been doing it wrong all these
Yes.
years.
It's actually the sign for us foreigners to come over and go to your theme parks, because we know after that date they'll all be empty and we can go in them.
If
Right.
they're open, though, I've heard
Well,
many
there is that,
stories
yes.
of people showing up at
Ah.
Yellowstone on September 15th and they can't buy a sandwich anywhere.
I managed to sit on Space Mountain like 5 times in a row because there was just no line for people to get on it because it was the week after Labor Day. Oh, it was the most glorious time at Disney. It really was. Ah, dear. So, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot we could do about that, I guess, other than like try and do this kind of.
Yeah, I don't remember the annotations thing. That's a new one for me. I like if they have that now, that's great. We should definitely
Right.
go and do that.
We're just gonna have a giant YAML file that marks a bunch of stuff as test data, and then maybe this will look better.
*/ ****. Yeah, this is all.
It's actually really easy to generate, right? It's just like I'd probably just make a little script that says find out everything at test dash fixtures at, and then generate a YAML file that has labels at test data. Done.
It's good.
Nice. Okay. What's next?
I think there might be a Grype pull request that needed discussion. Not really. I don't know. Do you want to go into the whole Vex thing, Alex? We were talking about Vex earlier. I don't know. I think for your
Is that what the PR is about?
does this view not show pull requests? Everything I see is an issue. Let
Yeah,
me see
these
if
are-
I can find this thing. I'm having less than total success marking things for discussion.
Oh,
Is this the set for default product list? 2811.
Oh, here's the thing
In
I thought
what,
was
in
going to
Grype?
come up.
oh okay.
I just put a
Thanks. This is what Grype. Copy and paste fail. 2798. You said.
Is it? So this was this is, and the PR is very simple. Like we don't really like to do code reviews on the air because it's not interesting. There's not a lot of code to review in this case. As mostly this is another like get context question, which is like right now Grype supports Vex. So Vex is like the vulnerability exchange format. I think the E and the X both stand for something, but I can't remember which stands for exchange. Anyway, so Vex documents, among other things, you can have them as like an additional input to a vulnerability scanner. So you can say like Grype, given this container image and this Vex JSON, like what is vulnerable? And the Vex JSON can say things like, I don't consider, Nginx vulnerable to CVE 1234 because I'm not using that feature, or because I compiled it with that if def turned off or whatever. And right now we only do image sources. I think just because the person who contributed Vex was only interested in that, but I wasn't sure if there was a technical reason for that. So now that's the discussion: is there a technical reason we don't support non-image like data with Vex?
Yeah, there is, but I don't think that would stop us from like say taking this PR. The PR is interesting. It's just saying, as opposed to it being a specific ecosystem, it's like, well, like generic's a thing and it's a thing for a reason. Like, can you just accept that? But let me pop off to the other question you had. The why is it only images? So I'm trying to remember the specific name of this in OpenVex, but so for when you're trying to write a Vex statement, you need, and you're saying like, hey, this is about a thing. You have like as an OCI product, and then like you have a subproduct for like the package, right? But when you are saying this is referring to, I think they should call it the subject needs to be like identifiable. So in this case, I need to know it's this image and here's the digest. the, that being identifiable is pretty important. Otherwise, you're just gonna like match the specs against like any artifact, and that happens to match. But in actuality, this is about this particular container image. So that's why. So it was hard to understand like what a directory scan, like the identifiability of that was.
So that makes it sound like you can't have a Vex document that. So a Vex document can say, like, in my particular image with this digest, there is no, like, you can say, like, I'm suppressing CVE1234 for this package for this image, but you can't just say I'm suppressing CVE1234 for this package. That's sort of what I'm hearing.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, I think accepting this particular change makes sense, because, like, well, for a generic Perl, like, those are generally not identifiable, but you still want to be able to attribute it to something. So
yeah. So can we see the Perl spec really quick? The open
Vex.
the Vex.
Sorry. Oh,
Let me see if I can find that. I was looking at it earlier.
Oh yeah, and I'm actually mixing two things in my head, by the way. I'm mixing like attestation land and open Vex land together.
Right. Okay.
That's what's going on. Okay.
I was confused because an attestation, yes, you need something identifiable, but it doesn't. I don't remember that from the OpenVex spec, but I also haven't read it. I've just skimmed it looking for evidence that I'm wrong, which means I probably missed evidence that I'm wrong.
No, I think I'm wrong. I think I'm just misremembering. I think I'm crossing signals here from Syft attest.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing. I think
Okay,
this is probably very much a kosher change.
Here, there's a heading. Like if you look, I don't know if you can see the table of contents, or if you want to. I sent you a link with an anchor tag in it or whatever. It's further down.
Yeah, I should have just like clicked the link, but you know.
Yeah, so this is an example of a Vex statement where we say, like, hey, like, I got this APK of Git specially from Wolfie, and they say CVE 2023-12345 is fixed. So I want Grype not to report that CVE for this package. And I think that makes sense. And it doesn't seem to say, it's not a statement about the container, right? Like that. So I think it's kosher for us to drop the requirement. Like, I think it's an accident of Grype's implementation that currently Grype wants to have like the product be an OCI image and have like a sub product be a package. And that makes it very easy to make a Vex document that doesn't work, or a Vex document that only works for one image. So, okay, I think we should accept this PR or something very much like that and fix that other thing. And I think that will unblock the people who were talking to us at the community call earlier today. So, yeah.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, cool.
Actually, while you say that, I should mention a reminder that the community calls happen every 2 weeks, and we have them listed at the top of the Syft.
Yeah, that's what I was to find it. I said go to Syft, read me, and look for the.
There's the agenda items, and you have to join that group to get access. So I'm mentioning this so that I remember to put it in the notes when I write it up, like afterwards. That we're getting more people turning up to these than ever before, and having like real world conversations with you chaps, and asking questions and asking for like nudges on PRs or questions about PRs and stuff. And I find that one of the highlights of my week is sitting in there and people joining in. We had a PhD student, I think it was, this week, and they were really like diving into the depths of lots of different parts of Syft and SBOMs in general. It was super fascinating, I thought.
Yeah, no, those are always good old, like, office hours format. They're great. So because really, you just got any question about Syft Grype related projects, SBOM tooling, vulnerability management, data, which we'll just kind of dive in and answer as best we can. And yeah, it's fun.
And they're not recorded and they're not streamed or anything, so people can feel a little bit more comfortable to join. You know, you don't have to have your webcam on or anything. It's just, you know, it's pretty chill, and yeah, it's really good. I'll stop talking now.
Yeah. It's also a great way if there's a PR you feel like you're stumped on, or someone gave you a really cryptic PR comment, or for example, you just kindly asked us to discuss your proposed adding of CWEs back into the vulnerability metadata, and I dropped a comment with a bunch of links to old giant PRs and said good luck, and you want to talk to me about what exactly I meant. The community meeting is a great time to do that.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
That may or may not have just happened. Got it.
Yeah, if you want to put something on the agenda, it's not compulsory, but people can stick things on the agenda like this. Give us a bit of heads up. It's all linked. I'll put a note out, a reminder, because it's So, do we have more to discuss on Vex?
I think the only thing I've got is this foreshadowing, like that. There's more and more folks asking for how to use these, and there's evidence of folks using it internally or at their companies for all sorts of stuff. So it's like, I mean, we have we were just mentioning in the community meeting earlier today that there's probably a refactor in the works for a lot of that interface, to make it work probably a little more like how folks are expecting to use it now. So, you'll still be able to do everything you're doing today with it, but if you're looking for some if there's something about how Vex is working for Grype today that isn't working for you, or say you wish it worked differently, like definitely please open up a bunch report. This is a good time. So we're right in like the pre-planning phase for like how that refactor, the redesign would look like.
Sweet. Have we got anything else you guys wanted to talk about?
I don't have anything in particular, unless Will, you got another one. No, we can call it early too. So
that's fine by me.
I think calling it early might be good. This was a pretty entertaining one, and we're short a couple of people and had a very engaging and somewhat long community call earlier, which is great. We really enjoy doing that. But we've been talking about Vex for a long time.
Absolutely. And also, in between that and this, I just did a webinar with Minimus about their stuff. So, yeah. And I forgot my pass, so I don't know if I'm going to get out of this building. So, if I'm wearing this same shirt tomorrow, I didn't get out of the building. Yeah.
On this week's episode, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dear me. So, have a super evening, rest of your day, and we will see you here again same time next week. Thank you all.
Yes.
Thanks, chaps.
Cheers, man.
Great as ever. Take care. Bye-bye.